lot itself, there's one big tree. You know the one, you know the tree I mean, right?
I believe so.
Is really only one that I could be talking about. You're looking at the lot from East Meadow Road, and it's maybe halfway down, halfway up before you get to Mrs. Freeman's lot. There's no chance of saving that?
I believe it's prohibitive.
It's too far in? Okay. All right. Okay. Those are my questions, and they have been answered. I don't know if we want to move into the comment phase right now, or what we want to do.
You can do the comments if you like. If not, I can go to other board members, whatever you do any comments at this time, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, all right then, my comments here are, first of all, the location of trees. I think that with a little bit more care and a little thought, the location of the trees could be used in such a way that they're shading a lot more pavement. Move them a little closer to the parking lot, move the red maples that are in the back here, move one of them so that it's out by the street instead of pulled in a lot, and it's, so it's an actual street tree. So, you've got these other street trees here. It's also generally common when you have a driveway into a parking lot and then the spaces open up, you usually want to have trees, if you can, on both sides of that driveway. Where you've got these retaining walls and you've got your concrete sidewalk, I don't know if you can do that, certainly, but you ought to be able to do one on the other side. So I would like to see with the location of the trees, keep in mind the value of street trees and of covering the pavement with the shade. My other comment is about the elevation here, using the term to refer to both drawings showing the facade of the building as well as height. Okay, where this building, there's already an increase in height from street level to where the bottom of the building would begin. If we're going to do an adequate job looking at elevations and making a judgment call, I want to make sure that the full elevation from street level, showing the rising grade and then showing the building, is included in those elevations. I don't just want the building shown as if it's on a flat piece of land. Okay? I want it to look like what it would look like what somebody standing across Mammoth or across East Meadow Road would see when they look at the building, including the change in grade itself. And I'm pretty skeptical about a 3-story building. I'm pretty skeptical about if they're 1,800 square foot condominium units and there's 4 of them, I'm pretty skeptical at 7,200 square feet of residences on the second and then also on the third, and then probably a pitched roof up above that, how that would look in this neighborhood. And those are my comments. That's it for me.
Mr. Malovich?
Yeah, I want to see the final plan before I critique it.
Simple.
Mr. Lockhart?
Just the plans and particularly the elevation, so we get a better feel for what this project looks like. I have no feel for it whatsoever, the documents we have presented to us.
Yes, sir.
Dick, you have any questions, comments?
Same comment.
Okay. Mr. Bichette?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Boy, I tell you, this has turned out to be more of a challenge than I think probably at first glance you would think as far as this site. you're looking at the criteria for site plan is one thing, and then looking at the criteria for the special permit. And part of it is neighborhood character and social structures. And under the section 11.3 special permits and criteria for special permits and table of uses, if you go to section B, neighborhood character, how does this project, item number 2, line number 2, how does this project protect and enhance the character of the existing neighborhood? Successful projects should reflect the density, the urban design, the setbacks, height, and landscaping elements of the surrounding buildings. So I think it clears up, it spells it very much right out there as the criteria for the special permit. In looking at the stone wall, it looks like a granite wall that runs along Mammoth Road, the abutting property. That really helps to define the streetscape. And even in the Pawtuckaville Master Plan, maintain and enhance the streetscape of the neighborhood business districts. Now, here's becomes a challenge with this site. As I go through that intersection for the last 13 years, that's the way I go to work, so I go through it every day. We've got, which is an example of how we don't want to see development on the liquor store on the corner diagonally across from here. It's a curb cut from one end, wraps around to the other. The dumpsters, 2 dumpsters are under the sign, right on the roadway. Is that the neighborhood character? Is that what we want to replicate? Then we've got 2 residential homes diagonally across from each other. That's residential in nature. Then we got where the Pawtuckaville Diner is, and that is really not consistent with what's around there. And, look at that landscape island that's kind of a buffer between the sidewalk. I guess that was thought to look good at one time, but certainly not very attractive. We have a gas station that's no longer used on the other side, and we have what looks like a residential home that has a, security company, a sign company in there. So how do you define the character of that intersection? And to a point, I feel for the applicant if he's working with DPD, because I suspect they're driving, from what I read in the material, DPD is driving the home closer to the sidewalk. The building. That's what they want to see. That's what you think of in a traditional neighborhood. We've dealt with a lot of properties on Bridge Street, and it definitely, you look down Bridge Street, and that's what you see, all the way down the business district. What do you see here? A hodgepodge of things. So, as I sit here, I don't even know how to define what that character is. I really don't. And I suspect if you sat with DPD, they're going to define it one way. I think the 6 of us here may define it each our own way. And I suspect everybody that's sitting out there has their own opinion of what the neighborhood character is there. So this is a tremendously challenging site. Like I said, at first glance, it just seems like, you can put a mixed-use building there, it's pretty good. And when you start to place it on the property and you try to comply with all the setbacks and you try to define what the neighborhood character is, it is a monumental task. I agree with we need elevations. We've got to see what this is going to look like architecturally. We've got, Mr. Boyle raises a very good point. We've run into this in the past where, you can make a drawing look really good, but it doesn't reflect what the topography of where it sits, and obviously that has an impact. I think obviously the material, the elevations for the material being used for the retaining walls. I have some concern with the back, where it's defined as a stone wall. I mean, I have photos, and it's kind of like stones laid out, and then there's actually like timbers on top of it that's a retaining wall. The plan I'm looking at shows kind of the stone stone wall going on the abutter's property. So I don't even know how you get that on there. I'd certainly want to see more detail on that. I think that's a little bit of a challenge as well. I don't necessarily agree with DPD not wanting to have access from Mammoth Road, to be honest with you, and feeding everything into West Meadow. I don't necessarily think that's a good solution. So this is a tough site. It really is. And so from my opinion, and we're going to be we've got the final say. So I'm looking at this, and I am concerned about, first of all, we need to know what the parking arrangement is for East Meadow Road. I've had this discussion with a retired engineer from the city of Lowell. He says, we build these little plazas and we doom the businesses to fail because we constrict the ability for them to succeed. And if there's very limited parking, whether it meets site plan review, and we've got neighborhood character, special permit gives us a little bit of discretion here, you know, under traffic of the special permit, and again, this isn't smoke and mirrors here, this is section D, line 12. How does the project address traffic flow and safety, including parking, loading? Does the project provide adequate parking for visitors? Will the project impact an area with significant on-street parking demand? Will the project require the loss of on-street parking for driveway curb cuts? So even from that perspective, I think it's very difficult. It's right on that intersection. I go through that from West Meadow to East Meadow, and quite frankly, because the elevation of the road goes up, and long before, and I think the applicant remembers before there were stop signs there, matter of fact, your tendency was to really gun it so you can get through Mammoth Road and you go flying up East Meadow Road. I will tell you that I think still the inclination of drivers is when you go, and everybody's looking at each other in the morning, and, you know, did I get here first? Can I go? Am I to the right of you? And boom, and off you go, and you shoot up East Meadow, and it's right where the only entrance and exit for this property is right now. So if somebody is slowing down, waiting to get in, and somebody's pulling out, they're waiting for them to pull out, and I'm sitting at that four-way intersection, and I go, yep, I've got the right of way, and I go, and I've got somebody right there waiting to get into that parking lot. So I don't necessarily agree with that being the only entrance to this site. I think from a traffic perspective, that has to be looked at as well. I'm not sure, maybe we need to have somebody beyond our traffic engineer, and nothing meant to be disparaging about him. You need to understand the dynamics of that spot. And there's just a lot going on. So, like I said, at first glance, it seems like this would be pretty, you know, you could come up with something. But when you start to really look at the challenges of the site, I think it really has to be looked at in a much more comprehensive manner. So, those are my thoughts, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else have any further comments? I mean, some of the concerns I have is I don't think we got the plans appropriately. I mean, even the plans that we did get, as indicated that were set out by staff, that they weren't signed and dated. Like I said earlier, to get the plans tonight at 9:30, it doesn't do any of us any good. So, as far as I'm concerned, those plans aren't even being considered tonight. You don't expect us to review a project, go out and look at the site, and then come in and give it to us and everybody else the night of the meeting. So, as far as I'm concerned, and to give them to us last meeting, under our regulations, have to be submitted 7 days ahead of time. So I'm not acting on those plans. So a lot of the concerns I have is raised by staff on a lot of the comments. And, you know, plans not even being signed. I mean, we have to make sure we have the handicap ramps and everything. You know, determination of who owns the 25 feet on has to be determined by a lawyer. The questions about cutting into the roadway. I'm still not satisfied the way the dumpsters are set up, whether it's gonna be 1, 2, whether they're gonna be screened, whether you can still get into the snow storage area, the way it's set up on, quickly look at the new plan. I mean, the fact that we don't know what the building's gonna even look like, I don't think we can draw an inference that it meets the neighborhood character if we don't know what something's gonna look like. So, due to those negative comments that I have, I can't see where I could vote in favor of this project. So, that's my comments. So, what's the wish of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we, for a continuance until our next meeting on August 17th, so that we all have a chance to review the documentation.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman. And, yeah, we'd have to have the applicant.
Let me ask a question. Is the applicant requesting a continuance?
That's what he said.
No, talking about the applicant.
Oh,
So the applicant says no, then we
okay.
can vote tonight.
Right.
No, I please wish to have a continuance and to clarify the plans and to get you an architectural drawing of the building.
Okay.
address some of the, all of the issues that arose tonight, hopefully.
In your request for a continuance, sir, would you be willing to stipulate that the clock,
He has to sign a waiver.
to sign a waiver? Okay,
Not a problem.
okay.
The question I have is, you know, on a situation like this, when you have a new set of plans the night of the meeting, I wish you told us that as soon as you come in, and then if I knew that you're gonna be asking continuance, I would address that to the public who've been here for 4 hours. So I don't think it's fair to them, I don't think it's fair to us, and that's why we're bound by the plans that are in front of us. So when anybody comes in and tells us they're gonna be continuance, I always take the matters out of order and get the continuance for the benefit of the public. They shouldn't have to sit here for 4 hours, and all of a sudden say a continuance. I mean, obviously, at this point in time, I think you're asking for continuance because I don't think your plans, I don't think if we approve these plans tonight, that if anybody appealed it, we'd lose. Because, I mean, all the comments that are given out by staff, and to come in and give it to us tonight at the meeting, that's why I'm saying these plans here don't count. Judy tells us she got them today. Just for the record, I wrote down the date and time I received them at 7:27 at tonight's meeting. They're not done ahead of time. Our standard said they have to be submitted within 7 days. I totally get when the department gives you comments and say, okay, I need to show a screened dumpster, you say, okay, it's screened. But now when you start moving the building around, changes the whole set of plans.
Oh, yeah.
Changes it all completely.
Plan.
If you said, all right, I need a hydrant on the plan, we put the hydrant on, like Prince did earlier. You know, we said, you wanted us to show us where you have a pedestrian walkway, we showed the pedestrian walkway. Those are fine. When you start changing a building, then that changes the whole plan completely. And, I mean, just the basic that's not signed and stamped says that we cannot accept them, and therefore they're not properly in front of us. So it doesn't even meet the site plan requirement. So, therefore, I strongly recommend if, in the future that, you know, we don't have to go along with the continuance, you come in after 4 hours and say, these are new plans, why don't you consider them? And now we'll ask for continuance. I mean, if the board wants to go through continuance, that's fine with me. If not, I'm willing to make a motion to deny. It's up to the board members. So, what's the request?
Well, if I can put in my 2 cents, I think the ideal situation here would be a request for withdrawal without prejudice, and the applicant can come back in when he's got some questions answered and has a new project to present. My 2 cents. That's how I think the best way to handle this would be.
Oh, hold on, we haven't finished yet. Hold on. Go ahead.
The only reason why these plans were delivered tonight is because of the comments, because of the light pole. I apologize for that. That took extensive work out in the field, did not get done, and I didn't have them until today. Had I known that I should have asked for a continuance, I would have. I apologize to the board for wasting your time, but if you grant the continuance, you'll have all the paperwork for the next meeting.
What's the request of the board?
Well, I made a motion already.
Okay, so you, okay, so do we have a motion on the floor for continuance, Mr. Lockhart?
Yes, I'll remake that motion. for
Okay,
continuance.
we have motions made for continuance.
I think that's what the neighborhood,
Hold on, please. I gotta keep it in order, or we have to start all over again.
yeah.
The motion's made, do we have a second on the motion to continue?
I'd second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made in the second, all in favor of the continuance?
Aye.
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 Barry,
Okay, how many ayes do we have? Joe, okay.
2, 3, 4.
1, 2,
Okay, Joe?
4 in favor of continuance, okay. Chair votes no, the motion is allowed to continue.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
Thank you, board. Thank you.
I don't want to say no. Who's gonna stop?
Yeah. Just rushing to get stuff.
No.
Traffic's gonna stop. I mean, the rules are supposed to.
Hey, I can guarantee she did. Oh, was I supposed to sign this?
You did good, you didn't cuss.
No, I said tech.
Okay, moving along on the agenda, the next matter we have is 187 Middlesex Street. It's site plan review administrative change. The planning board will hear a request from Commonwealth LLC seeking administrative approval of modifications to a previous approved special permit and site plan for the addition of a second story to the proposed building. A landscaping plan will also be presented. May we hear the case from the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, George Theodoro, 133 Market Street, representing the applicant, Commonwealth LLC, the owner of the property at 1857 Middlesex Street, the proposed site of the Collegiate Charter School. This is a request, a modification to the building to include 2 additional unfinished floors for future expansion. The purpose of the school's request is to construct 2 additional unfinished floors. The current plan allows for a 2-story building, which is approved. The 2-story building would require an elevator. We are proposing, instead of building a 2-story building, to build a 4-story building. This would save the school approximately $500,000 in construction costs. As a result of construction a 4-story building, we would install an elevator for 4 stories and an existing roof. The 2 additional stories would remain unfinished. They would not contain additional grades or additional classrooms. We are currently approved for kindergarten through 5th grade. That is the current approval under our site plan review and approval before this board. We went through the complete public hearing process. We went through the complete site plan review. We went through the complete the traffic studies for the site, the parking, public safety, fire, everything that is conducted with the public hearing and site plan review. The confusion existed here that we would occupy the 3rd and 4th floors for immediate expansion. This is not the case. Those third and fourth floors that we propose to add to this building are for cost-saving purposes only, so that we can construct the building, construct 2 additional floors, modify the existing approved plans, and add the 2 floors to save approximately $500,000 for the school. If and when the time comes for the school to add additional classes, being 6th or 7th grades, above the 5th grade that we are approved for, mandated under the current decision of the planning board, we are required to come back to the planning board and have full site approval. This is not what we're asking for here. We're just asking for a modification of our plan, which is analogous to what was done just back in February when this board administratively changed the plan and approved it without having any site plan review. There is nothing here that requires the planning board to go ahead and study parking, study traffic, or study any of the public safety issues. There will be no additional students on this site, no additional students at this school. There will just be the approved classrooms that currently exist, which is kindergarten through 5. Now, I'd have to say right now, you have there in your materials 2 responses to the Department of Planning and Development, that we responded to their comments. We responded to the issues which we feel are relevant to this. I also want to add there is a very positive article in the Lowell Sun on the charter school is in the building mode, that construction has started there on Middlesex Street. The school has struggled on. Right now, kindergarten through 2nd grade has been going on off-site. In September, there are plans to put grades 3 through 5 at the site. By December, they plan to move the kindergarten through 2nd grade at the site. So by December, the full grades of kindergarten through 5 will be at the site, which is approved under the planning board decision. There will be no additional grades beyond the 5th grade unless the applicant comes to the planning board and files for full site plan review. That's part of the decision. It's within the purview of the board to make administrative changes to plans. This has been done in February, so this is nothing that is beyond the authority of the board to do. And we ask that this board make this administrative change so that the school and the developer can work together and construct it. The only thing you're going to see on this plan that's different is 4 stories instead of 2 stories. That's the only thing you're going to see. And that's the change we're asking this board to make at a substantial savings to the school, as I said, of over $500,000. There's no additional students, no additional traffic, nothing that would warrant the site plan review for parking, traffic, lighting, snow removal, public safety. So we ask this board to take a positive action on this, allow the developer to continue to work with DPD in developing the plans and to construct the school. We just provided a rendering over here for you. The site is not going to change. The footprint of the building site is not changing. The parking configuration is not changing. The traffic in the area, the traffic flow through the site is not changing. The only thing that is going to change is we're asking for 2 additional floors, and again, I stress, these will be 2 floors that are unfinished and unoccupied. There's no expansion for additional grades or classrooms until we come to the planning board for site plan review. They are going to be unoccupied. However, as a cost savings measure, it makes sense for us to build 4 stories with an elevator for 4 stories rather than 2 stories where we have a 2-story elevator and we're forced at some point in time to take it out, take the roof off, put another elevator in for 4 stories, and build out the 2 floors. That's an extremely expensive proposition. Now, if in fact we come to the board after this is constructed and we don't get approval, well, that's our cost. That's the cost that we've incurred for that. But at the time, the school is willing to take the risk and ask for the administrative approval so that we can move forward on this. And I just want to point out, again, you have the plans in front of you. Also, we have, and I might add with respect to this plan, we got these at 4 o'clock this afternoon. But then again, I just want you to consider the fact that this is not site plan review. This is a proposal, this is a design change. This is not a modification of an existing building. This is a change of a proposed new construction. We have 2 floors on this, on one rendering here, and over on here, the south elevation that you see, there are 4. That's the change that we're making. And this change will allow us to save the charter school, which is a public school, $500,000 in construction costs.
Thank you, sir. Do any of the board members have any questions?
I have
Okay.
just one, that really doesn't have any bearing on what you're asking for, but do you have any idea how long those 2 floors might be vacant and when you might be back in
Yes.
front of us?
The 6th grade, for timing purposes, we're slated to move forward by September of 2016.
All right,
So we would propose at some time later this winter to come back in, or at some point with sufficient period of time to do the complete site plan review, to come in with full site plan review for the 6th grade, again, which the timing of it is September 2016.
thank you, that's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lefebvre. Mr. Fischett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I certainly, Attorney Theodoro, can appreciate the cost-saving measures that you're trying to employ here, but what is the total square footage of the 2 floors that you're looking to add?
We've estimated in our application at 16,000 square feet.
Okay. And this is, you know, it's really a cut and dry type of situation for me. In administrative review, we have to determine if there's a material or substantial change to the project that we've previously approved. So you're looking at adding 16,000 square feet. Under site plan review, again, section 11.4, and then under applicability, 11.4.2, you know, paragraph 1, A is construction of a non-residential structure or structures greater than 10,000 square feet. B, exterior alteration or expansion of a non-residential structure or structures where the area of the alteration or expansion exceeds 10,000 square feet. This is what triggers site plan review. It's not whether or not it's occupied. It's space that's being added to the building. So, and I guess I'll reference it. I'm going to ask Judy.
Could I comment, Mr. Fischett?
Not at the moment. Thank you. Is ask Judy, because we did receive some communication from DPD that staff reviewed it, the senior planner reviewed it, the building commissioner reviewed it, development services director reviewed it, and they find that the plan modification is not a minor change, even if it's for future use, and it needs site plan review. Again, this isn't, and I can appreciate the argument you're trying to make. I can really appreciate that. But this appears to be pretty cut and dry. So, Judy, if you could expand on the review process that took place with DPD, please.
Well, we did get the request from the applicant definitely more than 7 days ago, request to be put on the agenda for an amendment. And Subsequent to that, I did notify the applicant, or the attorney for the applicant, that the first condition in the approval back in 2013, I believe, whenever, was that any future expansion to include additional grades would be subject to site plan review. We did not get any material in terms of any plans or any elevations. We did get a call from the architect, and I believe we took that call, I want to say late in the week, last week, and talked to the architect over the phone, and that was the first that we heard, how many floors it was going to be, that it was going to be 2 floors, and we did stress at that time to the architect that this was a condition of the approval, and that we did not consider it an administrative approval, that was our position, and that we would not recommend to the board an administrative approval, and that it, because of the section you just read, it requires site plan approval for 10,000 square feet or more. And subsequent to that, we did have conversations with the building commissioner and with our DPD director, with Eric Slagle, and he did also agree with us that we could not recommend this as an administrative change. So that was a question that was put to us: would we recommend? And we said no. That, the decision obviously is ultimately up to the board, but we could not recommend that the board take this as an administrative change.
Thank you, Judy. So, from my perspective, I think that's, I find it very clear, cut and dry, and so certainly from my perspective, I would consider it to be a material and substantial change. Go ahead.
I understand at the outset, if you look at it, it's an addition of 16,000 square feet. However, I think you have to take a look at this administrative change in the totality of what site plan review and what we do in site plan review. This is not an alteration or conversion or expansion of any existing structure. There is no existing structure. This is new construction. This is a design change in new construction. This is akin to us making a design change in new construction. The 10,000 square feet that's used here above, that's in these rules, becomes a red herring. It becomes something that, as you say, you look at it, it's something that you have to use to make your decision. When there is no structure here, when we are proposing a change in new construction, it's akin to a design change by adding these 2 floors. That is our interpretation. When you take a look at this, of what we're doing by adding these 2 floors to this building, which are going to be unoccupied, there will be no additional grades there. They are a shell as a cost-saving measure. There is no impact to this site. So practically speaking, there's not going to be any more traffic, any more employees. There will be no additional students. We are complying with the mandates of the planning board decision by not expanding the school. By expanding the school, we're not interpreting as a physical expansion, but the expansion of additional grades, and that is not happening here. So I believe, Mr. Frechette, there's a distinction. While it's easy to draw this section right here and say something over 10,000 feet, there's no structure, there's no addition, there's no building that exists. It's new construction. It's a design change in the new construction. And I think that, that's an important distinction to derive from the rules here to allow this to go forward, to allow this school to save $500,000.
Attorney Theodore, I know the flip side to this is that if for some reason, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but you build the 2 stories, then you come before us for site plan review for something that's already built, by the way, just adding the students, I guess, to it. And then we have traffic impact, because, again, in our approval of all of this, and we had been given the traffic study, 200-something pages that afternoon, and we, took a look at it, and we had peer review. And at peak hours, that intersection failed. I mean, it did. And, but it didn't fail any more than existing conditions. Let's say that we have issues with the site plan, with the additional traffic on site and the impact to the area. I can certainly hear your argument from the other side, okay? And there's been a lot of articles in the newspaper. Every time they come to the board, it seems like there's an article in the newspaper. And certainly, we've been accused of delaying the process, it seems like. So from that perspective, I could see the position we would be put in. We've spent $500,000 to build these 2 stories, and now, we're just trying to operate according to our approvals and our license, and you're not allowing us to. So I really think it should be a comprehensive proposal that then we can take full consideration of what's going on with the site. Again, that's my opinion as I look at this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And if I may just, and I understand, Mr. Frechette, and I understand your interpretation. I fully do. It is our position that we take the risk in building this out. However, I go back to site plan review, and I'm not here to tell this board what mandates site plan review. However, it was fully vetted for the existing conditions in the site layout. I'm going through them now, the site layout, parking, landscaping, lighting, utilities. All these matters were decided before in the comprehensive site plan review, in the public hearings that we did before this board, along with the traffic studies, the peer review. As a matter of fact, we can't go forward on additional classes without the MEPA studies. We can't go forward without additional class until we've done that. So that's our due diligence that we have to do. We know and that's the primary reason when we were approved through the state through K through 9 or K through 12. We had far more approval for additional grades. However, we, at our option with the board, said we don't have the time to go through and do the additional traffic studies for those additional grades at this time. Let's go forward with the traffic studies that we have of K through 5. And that's what we did. So we fully understand the risks of even not being able to be approved. There is always that case of not being able to be approved for additional classes, even without these additional 2 stories. So we fully understand it. However, but what I'm saying is you go back into what the totality of the impact is, and adding these 2 stories is not going to change the footprint of the building. It's not going to change the parking. It's not going to change the lighting. It's not going to change the traffic flow. They're not going to be occupied. There's going to be no additional students, and there's no impact to public safety or fire. And so that's the reason, those are the important reasons here that we are considering this an administrative change, a design change that's analogous to the one that was done back in February. And I know it's difficult for us as well, because we know we have to come back to the board with everything in order and all our traffic studies for the approval for the additional grades, which there are no guarantee for. And that's the risk that we take as well. So we fully understand the complexities and we understand the impact. Thank you.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yeah, I have to concur with Mr. Frechette's evaluation. I think we're looking at more than an administrative change here, and looking for more of a comprehensive approach to this. If that's the rule, that's the rule, and that's the rule we need to follow.
May I
10,000 square feet, Jerry?
say here, Mr. Chairman?
Anything above
Let's finish this up. Yeah.
That's all I have to say. I just think we need to follow that rule. And
So if I
in
may,
some way,
George.
work through this to get you what you want.
George Theolides, Jr., 133 Market Street. So, I hear exactly what Mr. Fischetta has said, but let's go back to March of 2013, when this first was granted approval. It was granted approval limited to a certain number of students because of all of the concerns, of all of the traffic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, because of a lot of different things, litigation and whatever, this school was set back 2 years, one thing after another thing after another. There isn't a person in here who knows how many students they're dealing with right now as opposed to what they're authorized to have. And the point I want to make to you is this. When you made that vote, and I think 4 of you were on the board at that time, when you made that vote, the very clear purpose was, we're not going to let more students in there until we see the place operating and we see how the traffic is, how the everything else is. Okay, now here's the tricky little part of it all, the conundrum that we've been put in. We come here tonight and you tell us, oh no, you have to, remember, you said we have to have site plan review? Well, yes, we well remember that, but that was when the school was opening and operating. The school isn't even opening and operating. So if we have a site plan review today, we're going to have a parking study with a building that's not even built and students that aren't even in it? Are we going to have all of the other things that go along with that?
Mr. Lighties, I'm sorry, what we're determining this evening is this material or substantial change to what we were approved? So we can agree on what we have to determine here as a board. And using, when you're adding 16,000 square feet to the building. So you're asking us to say that's not material or substantial. And then applying the criteria in which you would trigger a site plan, again, myself and all of DPD, legal staff, everyone down the line, building commissioner, coming to the same conclusion. That's all, again, that's all I have to say. I'm curious to hear the other board members as well.
When I said, Mr. Fischette, that no one knew how many students were there, the first plan you and everyone else approved was 51,000 square feet. The second plan was 43,000 square feet. No one talked about how many square feet were added, removed, or whatever. And as Mr. Theodoro pointed out, there is no building. You want to talk about what site plan review is? Site plan review is expansion or a construction or expansion of a building. There is no building here. This has all been in the formative stages. I mean, really, stop and think. Let's use some common sense here. What are we doing? We're getting another block in the way of this school. Another thing stopping it from trying to operate and go forward. That's what we're getting here. If we tomorrow file for site plan review, are we going to have to do a parking study and a traffic study? And what is that going to prove to you when the school isn't even open? I think you're all missing the boat with all due respect here. The fact of the matter is we're talking about a building that's been evolving from all of that time, and we're trying to find a place to put these students who cannot, that 6th grade, cannot go in until September 2016. And somebody's talking about, someone had the audacity to make an accusation that Mr. Theodoro and I were trying to slip one by putting in a building and then putting in the 6th and 7th grades. They're not even authorized to. We don't even have. You know what the grade is right now? The grade is 4th grade. We have people starting in the fall for the 5th grade. There aren't even 6th graders to go into the school. Anyway, that's it.
Mr. Boyle?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For me, this question, this rather angels and heads of pin question about whether expansion of a building, the language in the zoning applies, isn't really very material because of the language of our permit. If you change a permit by 16,000 square feet and 2 stories, that's a dramatic change to the permit. Okay? We don't even need to lean on the language in the zoning. George raised the question, are you going to do a traffic permit, a new traffic study, and everything based on based on there being 2 empty stories? No, we would not. What we would do is do a new traffic study based on what those stories would look like when they're full. This is a yes/no question about this expansion. There's no such thing as, we're going to put down the floor, but we're not going to put in the carpet. We're going to put in the carpet, but we're not going to screw in the light bulbs. No, this is a yes/no question. The applicant's here proposing to get his building a little bit pregnant. There's no such thing as a little bit pregnant. You're going to be creating realities on the ground, which will be of consequence in the next round of review. Okay? You're proposing to alter the building. That changes in altering the building will be of consequence. They are material changes. Material in the concrete sense, material by every definition of the word. Material in the concrete sense, there's a whole lot of material that's going to be added to this building. Material in the sense of importance and significance. This is a major important change. 2 more stories on this building for the purposes of bringing in more students would be a big material change. And even if you're not bringing in the students right now, altering this building for this purpose is altering this building for this purpose. And I think you know that. And I think that's why the language changed halfway through from the fine points of the law to whether we're throwing roadblocks up in front of your proposal. Speaking of roadblocks in front of the proposal and timelines and whatnot, in the materials submitted for this application, there is some language about, oh no, we're not seeking to permit those additional students and those additional classrooms now. No, we'll be coming in some time in calendar year 2016 in order to permit something you want to open in September of calendar year 2016. The last time that happened, and you came in with a proposal before this board to permit something you wanted to open in that fall, as we attempted to do our review, we kept hearing about how many roadblocks we were throwing up because it was taking too long because we were doing our review. We don't throw up roadblocks, we do a responsible review of the project. I'm going to stop talking.
Bob, any questions?
I have to agree with the DPD and some of my co-board members that, a duck is a duck is a duck. If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And the requirements for our decision-making, it seems pretty clear. We're adding 16,000 feet to a building. Whether it's occupied or not doesn't matter. That's my opinion.
Dick, any questions, comments? No? Judy, any follow-up, anything you want to say? Anything about conversation? Okay. So what's the request of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we find that this proposal represents a substantial and material change to the project.
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, so the motion is that this would require a substantial material change due to the fact that it's over 16,000 square feet, and we have to come back for site plan approval. Thank you.
Are we gonna talk about the landscaping? Are we still doing the landscaping? They withdrew that, okay.
You requesting that landscaping thing to be on for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be done through the architect.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you, George. Moving along, do any of the board members have any further comment from the boards that they sit on? or-
Just one quick thing regarding the historic board. Our summer newsletter is out, and within that is a little piece about the availability of signed grants to help downtown businesses with new signage,
Thank you. Anybody else have a follow-up?
an active program now.
Just one follow-up, Mr. Chairman, from the NEMCOG, latest NEMCOG meeting, which was last week, because I know it's an intersection that we've discussed, the intersection of VFW Highway and Bridge Street, and we approved the CVS that was there, and understanding there was going to be a reconfiguration. Well, I guess the construction and reconfiguration of that intersection is going to start probably within a week now, because last week it was 2 weeks. So within a week and a half, you're going to start to see some construction out at that intersection, and hopefully, I'm going to actually try to get some more details, because I suspect I'm going to get some phone calls when people start to see some work. But I think that's a positive.
Are design plans up on the NEMCOG website?
They're not, and I've asked Justin Howard to get me a copy of the design plans, so we can get them out there. But
That's something I
yeah,
have a high interest in.
yeah, so thought I'd pass that on.
Anybody else have any further comments? If-
I've had people, at least one person come to the office asking about the design.
Any other further comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone, we're adjourned, thank you.
That was good.
Judge is gonna call me tomorrow and say, what the hell are you doing? Judge and I go way back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you two were both on the original historic board, right?